Hello everyone and welcome back to Southern Wealth. I hope you guys are doing very well. If you do enjoy the content, please consider dropping that like and subscribe. So very quick update before a little bit of a different video today. I think Bitcoin will try to have another crack at 100k this week. Um, let's see if it can pull it through. Of course, it's a big psychological barrier. Um, there are still a lot of doubters, which is good. This is what you want to see. You don't want everybody believing, because by the time that everybody's believing, we're actually approaching the top quite quickly. So it's good that most of the people, or not most, but a lot of people are still doubting quite a bit. Ethereum has been above 3,700 over the weekend. However, you also don't want to see too many pumps over the weekend. You want to see the market a little bit more subdued to gain a bit of strength for the week. Now, as I've said, altcoin season, usually, historically speaking, starts on average 235 days after the Bitcoin halving. So that would put us at mid-December. Since this cycle has been the cycle of front running, maybe we front run it by about 2 weeks, and we started even this week. My point being, this week, next week, the week after, it should become more apparent that the altcoin season is really kicking in and that the Bitcoin dominance should start to drop. So quite curious for this week. Let's see what happens. It will also coincide with job reports on Friday. Then the week following, you have CPI, and I think the last Fed meeting where you're supposed to have 25 basis points. So quite the busy weeks, quite interesting. So far, once again, as I've said, we've seen nothing much different from the old cycles. So in that context, I don't see many reasons to think that anything different is going to happen. Now, at least there's no evidence of it so far. Now, the narratives change, but the price action has been fairly similar and around the time that it should be happening. Now, today I want to talk a little bit about these financial gurus. Now, I've done this in the past, but you need to understand my channel has actually grown quite decently. We are approaching 1,830 subscribers. By the way, thank you very much for doing all of it for me. I mean, if you ask me about less than a year and a half ago, and you ask me, you're going to have almost 2,000 subscribers in a year and a half, I wouldn't believe it. First of all, I mean, I'm a guy with the mask, right? So most people who turn in on the channel, they go, oh my God, this guy is a lunatic, and they go away, right? So I'm fighting an uphill battle here. Then number two, I do literally zero editing. Like I waste so little time on YouTube that my thumbnails are all the same because I don't have the patience or the time, to be honest, to be around, trying to fetch ones where my head is like this and the world is on fire beyond me. Look, guys, I work a full-time job and I work quite the extra hours as well. I have a family, so when I'm resting, when I'm not at work, I need to be super husband and super father, and I'm always listening to information. So to try and guarantee that I'm on the right path of the cycle, I really don't have time to be doing anything on YouTube, much more than this. But one of the best things that led to is that my audience is really one of a kind, I think. I mean, I just checked my like to dislike ratio is 98.4%. I mean, it's crazy. It is super high. And I think that the people that stay here and they look beyond the mask, the lack of editing, the lack of these coins will do 1,000x tomorrow, and then they pick XRP, for example, like a certain channel has done just now. I think I think you can see that I'm an honest guy, and because I refuse to accept any money from anyone, I think that I don't sell anything, I don't sell any product, and I do it because to me this is really a hobby, and I like to be here, but I'm not trying here to to get rich of you. I mean, I have to address this. I saw this in Discovery Crypto, and they're talking about these coins could do 1,000x from here, and they're talking about XRP. I mean, for you to have an idea, that's more than 50% the current all-time high for Bitcoin. No, actually, it's even more than that. What am I saying? Well, it's so much more than that. It's like 30 plus trillion. That's more than the entire GDP of the US. I mean, look, uh, just because XRP is pumping, so they know they're going to get the views, so they drop a video like that. And obviously, I mean, look, anything is possible, right? I don't think XRP is going to do 1,000x. But, this is, if XRP is dropping next month, then XRP drops completely from their videos. It is what it is. But let's go to a group of people which are even more dangerous. Now, we're talking about the Harry Dents, Peter Schiffs, George Gammon, Jim Rickards, Robert Kiyosaki, right? So each of them are bad at different degrees. So, for example, if you take the example of George Gammon, right? I think he knows the truth, but I think he got his audience from the time where he was one of the doom predictors, one of the end of the world is here within 3 weeks kind of guy. So I think his audience is all that, but then he covers subjects that tells me that he actually understands that the crash is happening already. The crash that everybody's talking about has already happened. It happened in the currency. You just didn't pay attention. But it already happened. That is, the crash that happened was the currency debasement, on average 10% per year, plus with the CPI, forcing investors to yield 15%, otherwise they were destroying value. So the crash has already happened. It's happening right now. It's in the currency debasement. And it tells me that he knows about it. He knows that that's the case, but he needs to cater to his audience because his audience was built, most of it, he would be another guy like Peter Schiff predicting the end of the world on a monthly basis. Then you have Jim Rickards. Jim Rickards is this guy who comes across extremely smart and very well spoken and, a machine in the debates or a machine in the podcast, everything, right? Unfortunately, like all the others, his forecast is completely wrong because he's a gold bug. So he wants gold to succeed above anything else. So we will always come up with a scenario that gold will be, he said gold is going to be $5,000 before 2025. Here we are a month to go, and we are around half of it. But this is another guy who's been predicting gold 20,000 since 2010, crashes all the time, hyperinflation, this kind of stuff. Another one. The reason why they predict hyperinflation is because they're gold bugs, and they think that gold correlates with inflation. So basically, that's why they want it. Then you have Robert Kiyosaki. So Robert Kiyosaki, he's a guy who knows nothing about stocks or crypto or anything, but he's very good in real estate, or at least he managed to be successful enough to be a billionaire in real estate. Now, I know he has a lot of debt and all of that, but it seems to be, I'm not going to comment on his real estate empire, but what happened to him is he followed suit with the other guys that, once again, these were the guys gaining the views on YouTube because we as human species are tailored to pay attention to the negative rather than the positive. So all of these guys got a lot of views despite all of them being incredibly wrong. Now, Robert Kiyosaki, just for you to have an idea, he's another one who predicted about 9 crashes within the last 12 years. And I actually saw tweets from him saying, stocks are crashing today. And then the Nasdaq was down 0.1% and the S&P was down 0.2%. So this is how desperate for a crash he was. Being down 0.2% was a crash. This is it. Then you have the Hall of Famers of being wrong in the market, which is Peter Schiff and Harry Dent. Now, as much as I dislike Peter Schiff, Harry Dent is by far the winner, the world champion of being wrong. But Peter Schiff is also very dangerous. And the reason is the way that he speaks about things. It kind of makes a lot of sense. Like all of these guys, they try to anthropomorphize, if you will, like turn the economy into like a human being, right? Which has nothing to do with that. It's completely different. So he always comes up with a scenario why gold will go to 25,000. He's been predicting the end of the imminent, and I highlight this word, imminent dollar collapse since 1998. The first time that I saw him saying it, was 1998. And I'll tell you in a little bit how wrong that is. I mean, the dollar has been gaining value since 2009 versus other currencies. Not versus real things, versus other currencies. Actually, just with an idea, right? If you were being paid in dollars in Japan, you actually beat inflation in Japan and currency debasement. So you would be better off getting paid in dollars in Japan than yen. Just for time. So this is the complete opposite of Peter Schiff's predictions. And notice that he always tells you to go buy his funds, but he never talks about the returns of those funds. Those funds have been out for more than 10 years. It's because the returns are so poor, with so much higher fees than just buying the freaking S&P 500. And my God, I don't even want to imagine the short-term capital gains tax because it's actively managed. So that means the trading in and out of stocks. And it is really, really, super damaging, particularly because it convinced people to get away from Bitcoin. The first time I heard him talk about it, I think was 2011 or 2012. So I think Bitcoin was $100. And he convinced so many people to stay away from it. If you just look at his comment section, it's like people that would have been millionaires today that are now completely destroyed. And then the thing that puzzles me the most about him is his arrogance. Here is a guy who's completely wrong almost 99% of the time. But not just a little bit wrong. It's not like saying, I think stocks will crash 20% and then they crash 17. No, it's not like that. He's saying, I think stocks will crash 25% and they rally 25%. So the opposite, the other side of the equation, right? So completely opposite. And his following keeps on rising. I think what you need to understand with these people, the reason why I'm talking about this, the reason I'm making these videos, if you're a new person coming into investing, if you type anything on YouTube Finance, you're going to end up either on Meet Kevin, who is bearish on Monday morning and bullish on Monday afternoon. So that's like seeing a guy reading a script on LSD, to be honest. It's everything is great. And one day, next day, everything's about to collapse. One day, go all in. The other day, short the market. At your own peril, do whatever you want. But many cases, they will end up with the Harry Dents and the Peter Schiffs and so on. And they're going to listen to them. And if they're not careful enough, because we live in a society nowadays that people don't they waste more time picking a television than pickling the future of their investments. These are the type of people who will destroy you because they have a fundamental flawed analysis of what's going on. See, Peter Schiff is addicted to inflation. To him, everything is inflationary. Everything is about to collapse. Gold is always about to go to $50,000. Gold miners will 10x tomorrow. It's so, and Bitcoin is about to crash on a weekly basis. And that's it. This is his analysis. Everything is wrong. The rest of the world is great, but the US is terrible, despite the rest of the world doing the same that the US is doing. Zero acknowledgement for being wrong. It's the market that is stupid. People are all stupid except him. He is positioned ahead of time. Blah, blah, blah. Now, should you take my word for it? No. You should go to his funds and check the performance and make your own mind. You see, he gets paid in any case. He collects the management fee. He collects the YouTube ad revenue. He collects the sponsorship fees. He collects the money when he goes on television. He collects this social media income for having more than 1 million followers. He collects the money from selling his books. He's fine. He can lose and lose and lose and lose his money. It doesn't make any difference because it keeps pouring in. And eventually he lowers his cost averages so much that eventually he'll be profitable. There's no question to me about it because he can just redeploy these sources of income into his investments over and over and over again until he eventually picks the bottom of things, right? Doesn't matter if he underperforms everything else because the money keeps coming in. That's the key. And the thing is, his business is talking, is to convince people of things which bear no resemblance to reality, and there's no acknowledgement of past errors that his analysis took. Once again, the reason I'm talking about this is because there's always a lot of new people coming in, and there's going to be more people coming in into this space, particularly as the markets heat up, particularly the crypto market. And you're going to be eventually led into these people, and you're going to get annihilated. Now, Harry Dent is the worst by far. He was super bullish at the late 90s, beginning of 2000s, and he's been super bearish literally 2 months after the bottom of the great financial crisis in March 2009. Literally, he was advising people to short stocks on a monthly basis, or at least on a yearly basis, since May of 2009. The market bottom March 2009. Now, and by the way, he's been advising people to buy bonds, which is the only asset that I know that went below 2006 levels, which means that he managed to find the asset that actually lost value over the biggest, largest, and longest bull market in history. This is something amazing. This is Jim Cramer levels of predictions. This is out of this world. Does he recognize he's wrong? No. Did he have funds? Yes, he did. He launched funds during the biggest bull market in history that were listed for a total of 2 years before getting delisted due to poor performance. His Australian fund has lost more than half of the initial value that it started with. Once again, track record is terrible. But they keep getting invited to channels because they bring views. Now, people like David Lynn, Kitco News, and the likes, they play devil's advocate. They know his track record is terrible, but they invite him and they don't challenge him because they want him back, right? Because they get more views if he's there. The same thing with Garrett Salloway. It's the same story. They call these people for views. It's all about the views. It's not about teaching you. It's about making money out of you. It's about making money out of your views. Don't listen to these people. Study yourself. Analyze several YouTubers or several sources of financial information and gather information on their track record. And then you can see, like, for example, there was a guy who used to be very much like this, called Mark Moss, and now he's much better. He actually understood what was happening. He understood that only two asset classes were mattering, the Nasdaq and crypto, during the currency debasement. He understands that you can have central banks printing huge amounts of money with very low interest rates and don't have CPI inflation style, but have asset price inflation style, which is the currency debasement part. He understands, but in the past he didn't. He was another one of everything is crashing and the real estate will crash and this will crash and tomorrow will... Be careful out there. Now, guys, I cannot tell you what to do. It's up to you. It's a free, hopefully where you live, it's a free country. You can listen to whatever you want. Don't listen to me either. Challenge me, insult me, call me names in the comment section. Tell me I was wrong about things. That's important. And I'm here. I've said, I've got these things right, I've got these things wrong. You need to understand something. These people are incentivized to make the worst, most dark forecasts possible because that gets more views and this is how they get paid. Just like all the other economists out there, they make no money in the market. At least if they follow what they preach. And with that, guys, thank you very much for your support. I'm just trying to raise some awareness on these things. Be very careful, by the way. With the crypto bull, it's going to be different. You're going to have people predicting 500x coins on a weekly basis. They will miss 95% of them, but they will get one or two because it's the euphoric phase of the bull market. And then all of a sudden, they will talk about that one over and over. And if you had joined my group, you would have known about this coin. And you would have, of course, forgetting all the other 1,000 coins that they missed. That part doesn't matter. And the idea is to make you their passive income. That's it. All these people, when they get wealthy, they all study the same books. They all read the same things. I've also read them. They're all the same. Create passive sources of income to protect your wealth when your investments are may face some volatility to the negative side. right, to the downside. So that's how they learn. They learn to create sources of passive income. What's the number one source of passive income? You. Don't forget. And with that, thank you very much for your support, guys. I wish you a very good week. I think we should start to see some very exciting weeks. And with that,